Right, my name is Kojo Yankson. Lots of good stuff ahead in the next 2 hours. Let's start with this one. Finance Minister is this afternoon meeting with MPs ahead of his appearance on Monday to present the mid-year budget review. Now, the minister will seek the views and concerns of MPs before he makes his presentation to ensure the budget is more inclusive and acceptable to all, considering the country's economic situation. We're going to take you there live shortly. Ahead of that, though, renowned economist Dr. Ishmael Yamson says government is yet to demonstrate commitment to expenditure cuts in spite of the distressing state of the economy. Now, the finance minister, who will on Monday present the mid-year budget statement, is expected to be heavy on meeting the conditions set by the International Monetary Fund following the $3 billion credit that has been extended to Ghana. Now, Dr. Yamson says government's attitude to expenditure before and after the IMF deal has not changed. He spoke to our very own George Wiafe.
On raising revenue. I haven't heard particularly from government what exactly they are going to do to cut expenditure, from which areas and by how much. We know that our problem has been that all over these years we have spent more than we have raised by way of revenue. The GRA revenue figure will show you that they have been growing around 17% over the last 5 years per annum. So if we are still in a crisis, then it means that the bigger issue is the expenditure that government undertakes. Because if you look at the graph, and we did it 3 days or so ago, since 1992, we've never run a balanced budget, not even to say that a balance with a surplus. So it means that we have consistently spent more than the revenue we raised. And there are programs that they describe as untouchable. So if you have a program that you are finding it difficult to fund, why can't you say, in the short term, let me review this program to see whether there are savings I can make? I don't believe that by 2025, this economy will be showing any great signs of full recovery.
Okay, now let's see if we can learn a little bit more about how Parliament has been handling their preparations for the budget review, which will be presented by the Finance Minister on Monday. Kweku Asante joins us on the line. He's our parliamentary correspondent. Kweku, well, Monday is a big day. It was postponed once, but of course, the expectation here is that the Finance Ministry will not be asking for more money. What exactly seems to be the reason why the Finance Minister is meeting with MPs ahead of what ought to be a pretty straightforward budget review?
Right, Kojo. So this is quite unprecedented in the annals of parliamentary history. Whenever government is coming to do a mid-year budget review, or even the budget itself, there is no set meeting between the finance minister and the entirety of members of parliament. If you want, the list of the meetings that happen is usually between the finance minister and the leadership on both sides to try and flesh out a few issues. But the Speaker of Parliament announced on the floor on Tuesday of a certain unprecedented agreement that had been reached by leadership on both sides of the House, as well as the Finance Ministry, to get this event through. So what is going to happen is that the Finance Minister, I can confirm that he has come into Parliament about 10 minutes ago. He has arrived in Parliament to meet with the members of Parliament. The meeting itself has not started. The House has taken a suspension. We expect that the Minister will come in very shortly and they will go back to the floor to do that transaction. Understanding is that it is going to be a closed setting, so journalists will not be allowed in this meeting. But the kind of information we are picking up is that the Finance Ministry wants to avoid a gridlock that normally comes with this budget situation. They don't want a situation where they do a presentation on Monday, and if they introduce new policy, MPs will be hearing it for the first time, and they will be opposed to it. The government has finalized the mid-year budget review. The statement is ready, as we are told. They're coming to discuss the intricacies of this statement with members of Parliament so that they can be on the same page. If MPs have concerns, they can feed it into the media budget review before the presentation on Monday. As of now, Kojo, we cannot confirm if the minister will be asking for further estimates. Normally, it is media budget review, and the minister may ask for more money because of the financials and how certain revenue measures have not performed that well. The ministry is unable to confirm that now, but we expect that this meeting will be in such a way that they are going to inform MPs whether there will be some introduction of new taxes at all. When Parliament resumed from its break fresh this time around, we were told by the majority chief whip that there were certain revenue measures that were being discussed that have not come yet, and so we expect all those conversations to be had. If you hear in the background, the bell is ringing. It is calling on all MPs to come to the floor now because the finance minister is around, so that they can go into this closed sitting, get into the details of the media budget review, and then try and see if they can resolve all outstanding issues before the presentation is made on Monday.
Well, you're going to have to stick around so you can update us on that. But in fact, don't go anywhere, because this next story is something we could have your input on as well. Now, according to some accusing someone of witchcraft could land you in jail for 5 years. That is the punishment contained in the amended Criminal Offences Act. Parliament today passed, yesterday, passed the bill to criminalize this accusation, naming or labeling of another person as a witch. The amendment also prohibits the practice by any person as a witch doctor or witch finder. This comes as a victory for persons like 90-year-old Ikuya Dente, who was lynched in the Savannah region in 2020 after she was accused of witchcraft. A few such incidents have since occurred, prompting this bill. Our parliamentary correspondent remains with us. Kweku Asante, talk us through this particular amendment. I understand that it's a result of a private member's action. Talk us through the journey it has taken to its passage yesterday.
So mainly this private member's bill is sponsored by 3 NDC MPs, Francis David, Member of Parliament for Medina, Dr. Godfred David Jassau, MP for Wa East, and MP for Fusga, Teresa Ladia Ayamba. These NDC MPs, on the back of that 2020 incident, that gruesome video we all watched of some residents in the Savannah region stoning to death one Madame Ikuya Dente, decided that they had to put together this bill which will completely outlaw accusation of witchcraft in Ghana. So what this bill does is in chief to say that no one can accuse anybody of witchcraft at all. The moment you do that, you'll be falling foul of this law and you will go to jail up to 5 years. You can spend up to 5 years in jail just by accusing someone of being a witch or a wizard. We also know that there are the Gambaga witch camps. There are a number of witch camps spread across the country where vulnerable women who are accused of witchcraft are put there. We have the witch doctors and witch finders who attempt to so-called exorcise these women of witchcraft. That has also now been outlawed. And if you ever do 5 years or pay some penalty fine. So the law is now clear and is expected to go to the desk of the president pretty soon. I was speaking to the member of parliament for Francis Xavier, for Medina, Francis Xavier Susu, who had concerns that this situation was impugning the country's image and that this law was very important. He has been detailing what exactly the punishment regime is and how exactly that is very necessary. If you have that insert ready, you can listen to the MP for Medina, Francis Susu, who details what exactly is in this bill.
Yes, Speaker. Yes. I move that the Criminal Offences Amendment Bill 2022 be now read the third time. I so move.
Seconder.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to second the motion.
Motion for the Criminal Offences Amendment Bill to be read the third time. Moved and seconded. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Honourable members.
An act to amend the Criminal Offences Act 1960, Act 29, to prohibit the practice by any person as a witch doctor or a witch finder, to proscribe the declaration, accusation, naming or labeling of another person as a witch, and for related matters.
Honourable members, Criminal Offences Amendment Bill 2022 is read the third time and passed.
I cannot hide my joy now. So the reason is that for all the 539 persons who are locked up in witch camps across the country, they are looking forward to us to take some decisive step to dealing with this situation. This problem has lived with us for over 100 years. We've been struggling as to how to deal with it. And to the extent that this 8th Parliament has found it needful to pass this bill into law, for me, it's definitely going to bring about a very serious mind shift. It's going to correct a lot of ills in our society. And I am confident that we are just building a better society for ourselves. Well, the law simply says that henceforth nobody can practice as a witch doctor or a witch finder. And it will be also unlawful to accuse another person of witchcraft. If you are a community leader who supervises either the labeling of another person as a witch, or beating of the person, or lynching the person, as we have always been seeing, all of you will be in breach of this law.
We urge the President, knowing and gunning from our human rights records and performance globally so far, this is another opportunity for us to up our ranking in human rights. And I do believe that His Excellency the President is very concerned about our human rights profile. And so I'm confident that he will sign it immediately, as soon as possible, into law. Like I said, up north, I think that this there's a cultural relationship, etc., about witchcraft and so on. And let me be clear that we are not prescribing witchcraft per se. We are not saying people shouldn't exercise their cultural, their religious, their spiritual beliefs. No. What we are saying is that you cannot accuse somebody of witchcraft. If you do, that's criminal. And so the law will take its course.
Right. Kweku, this is a fascinating, development. Francis Xavier Sosu, twice in a week, having a bill that he's sponsoring getting passed. But this particular one now makes it criminal for you to call someone a witch. I wonder if you've had the chance to look through the document. What if someone calls themselves a witch?
Criminalized. What the bill seeks to do is to prevent a situation where people are accused of witchcraft and then something bad happens to them. So you accuse someone of witchcraft in your community, you accuse them of being the reason why, for instance, there is no development in your community, then you proceed to lynch them. That the law criminalizes. So if you call yourself a witch and you say you are just a witch, that's fine. You can have that. In fact, you heard the Dr. Godfrey said that they are not legislating against witchcraft in itself, because you cannot make a law to ban something that is in the spiritual realm. What law they've made is to prohibit persons who call others witches or wizards and proceed to inflict harm on them. If you accuse someone of just being a witch alone, that will land you in jail up to 5 years. If you proceed to do what they did to Ahmad Dente in 2020, then you will find yourself in much more trouble in terms of what this law does. So you can you can tell yourself that you're a witch or a wizard. The law does not criminalize that. But as soon as you accuse someone of being a witch and proceed to harm them, then this law would deal with you.
Was there any dissent during the debate on this?
None at all. In fact, almost all MPs in unanimity agree that this is something that we have to pass, especially on the back of those videos we saw of Madame Ekiade. In fact, since then, a number of incidents have happened where in certain communities, certain women, vulnerable women, had been beaten, some of them killed, because they were accused of being witches. And the question MPs were asking is, you never hear anybody accuse Kojo Yang-sen's mother, for instance, of being a witch, because Kojo Yang-sen is a very popular person who's on TV. You never hear anybody accuse the speaker's mother of being a witch, because it's a very popular person who is well-to-do. It's almost always the very vulnerable people in society who are accused of being witches, and then the society proceeds to inflict harm on them. The law says you cannot do that now. Not only will you go to jail, you will pay compensation to the person that you proceeded to accuse them of witchcraft. You will pay for counseling, for instance, if the person has to go through counseling. And so this is what the law is seeking to do. And in the coming days, it's expected to land on the president's desk. And as soon as next week, the MP say they expect President Akufo-Addo to sign it into law.
5 years in prison could be your punishment if you utter the words "Uyebeyifo" to someone. Listen, Kweku, thank you so much for that update. We appreciate it. Now, of course, the bill's passage has also won the applause of the Christian Council, which is strongly advocating that pastors found culpable should face the law. Reverend Cyril Fayose is the General Secretary. Let's hear him.
I completely support the passage of the bill into law criminalizing witchcraft accusations. And so if you are a pastor and you go accusing people, mothers and grandmothers as witchcraft, I think the law should deal with you. I don't think you have to accuse someone of being a witchcraft if you want to help the person. If you want to deliver the person, you go ahead and pray and deal with the spirit that you think is possessing the person. If you rebuke a spirit of witchcraft in the person, you're not saying the person is a witch. There are two different things. But going around telling people that this particular person is a witch, your mother is a witch, your grandmother is a witch, that is the problem. And I think the bill is trying to curb that problem.